Welcome to your virtual coaching session. I'm your certified personal trainer and master life coach, Megan Stoddard. You've got me right in your pocket each week as we cover topics relating to weight loss, women's health, mental well-being, and the like. Also, you can create and enjoy a body that gives you the freedom and energy to do all those fun things you've always wanted to do with your family and live the life that you've been dreaming of. Let's get going on today's session. Well, hello there. Oh my goodness, I could not be more giddy to be sharing this space with you again. I'm so glad to be back in your ear holes. Thanks for being here. If you're brand new, hi, welcome. I am Megan. You already heard the intro. And if you've been here for a little while, welcome back to a new season of podcasting with Megan. So if you're new here, you might notice that I have some previous episodes that may not seem to fit the theme, the topic that we are doing now with personal training. You guys, here's the deal. Side note, my husband is a physical therapist and I'm a personal trainer. So we are both PTs. He is definitely more schooled than I am, much more experienced than I am, but we're both PTs, and I often will accidentally slip and say physical therapist versus personal trainer. Like it hurts my brain a little bit. So if that happens, please forgive me. I am not in any way, shape, or form claiming that I am a physical therapist. Anyhow, so the old episodes do not necessarily fit in the realm of personal training and weight loss and all of that, all the good things that we're going to be talking about, but they're still so good. I just didn't have it in me to delete them or leave them in the dust in any way, shape, or form, because I still get people reaching out to me to let me know that they're enjoying those episodes. So I wanted to leave them up and available. So if you want to go back and re-listen to any of those, they are still good and great, and we're just going in a different, new, fun direction. So super thrilled about this. All right. So with that all out of the way, thanks again for letting me be here, being super excited. I've got so many good things coming in the very near and long future. We're here for the long haul for this. This is going to be so fun. So today, as I'm sure you have seen from the title, we are talking about chronic stress, chronically high cortisol, and how that's affecting your well-being, your health, your weight, right? So not only does chronic stress just wear you out, it zaps your energy, it also is sabotaging your weight loss goals. And I am curious, because here's a thing about me, is I have a tendency to learn about all these things and then just assume that everyone else is on the same journey I am and that everyone else already knows all these things. But I'm getting over that and realizing that that's why I need to be sharing these things, because not everyone does. So I'm curious if you already knew that being chronically stressed is sabotaging your weight loss efforts. So please find me on Instagram, email, wherever, and let me know if that's something that you already knew or if this is brand new information. And that goes for anything that I share on here always, because it's always very helpful for me to know the things that you already know versus the things that are new for you, so that I know what direction to continue to dive deeper into. All right. So that's the thing. Chronic stress is sabotaging any weight loss goals that you might have. Okay. And why? And that's why the whole mentality of I just need to do it harder. I just need to go harder. I need to work out harder. I need to have more discipline. I need to, go. That's not necessarily helpful. In a lot of cases, with a lot of people that I see, a lot of people I work with, that's going to be more harmful than it is helpful. Okay. And the reason this matters, let me just say this right up front. I mean, if you found me, you already know this. You've seen me talking about this already, but just to be extra clear one more time, and I will continue to say this, we don't care about weight loss because of the number. The number I could not care less about. It's irrelevant to your worth. It's irrelevant to the joy that you can get out of life. The reason we are focusing on weight loss and why this is more than just weight loss is because as you do the things that are going to help you lose excess weight, it's going to give you more energy. It's going to give you more stamina so that you can show up as the version of you that feels good, so that you can be happy and be the fun mom, do the fun activities that you always want to do but are too tired for or too achy for. You can't get down on the floor because your joints hurt. That's why we're doing this. Okay. I am helping you become that version of you who she's there. She's there. She's listening. She's around. We're just learning to access her more easily. Okay. All right. So stress, we're going to define it very simply. Chronic stress. So you know what stress is, right? Stress is a pressure. It's a feeling of needing to get something done. It's a feeling of always feeling behind. Define stress for yourself, okay? It might be a different set of words for you than it is for the next person, but you know what stress is. So I would like for you, put me on pause for a second and either think it, say it out loud, write it down, come up with your version of stress, and then to understand whether it has become a chronic condition for you versus acute is when that feeling has become your baseline. When you're feeling this feeling of stress, like that's just what you're always at, that's just kind of your default setting, that's chronic. If it's just a passing feeling occasionally here and there, that's normal. That's to be expected. And that is acute stress. And we can handle that. We handle that in a much different way than chronic stress. Okay, it's still not something that you just ignore. We have different ways of handling it, whether it's chronic versus acute. Okay, so if it's your baseline, it's chronic, which means your cortisol levels are chronically spiked, which means you're in fight or flight pretty much all the time, which creates all kinds of results for you, which we're going to get into. So, you might find yourself in this state of chronic stress if you are never getting a full night's sleep, right? So if you've got little kids, you're probably not getting a full night's sleep very often. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Although ironically, you guys, little sidebar. So if you're new to me, I have 3 children and 1 angel baby, but my 3 children are 2, 6, and 9. My 2-year-old sleeps through the night great. It's my 6 and 9-year-old. They get me up in the night. I'm like, I thought you guys were supposed to be sleeping through the night by now. They did for a time, and then they decided they need mommy during the night now. Anyhow, that can create chronic stress. If you're really striving to create this work-life balance that doesn't exist, that can create chronic stress. Mom guilt, trying to manage a whole household. If you're doing it from a state of not ever being enough, not ever doing enough, not ever able to keep up with it all, that can also create chronic stress. Okay, and here's the good news. I'm going to tell you this right now. We're not going to get into this rabbit hole today, but I want you to know that not a dang thing has to change in your circumstances in order for you to be relieved from stress. Okay, so take that little nugget, tuck it away, hold it tight, go to bed with it like it's your little stuffy, okay, and just know that that's true. Okay, you don't have to change your life in order to reduce your stress. So the reason why, so to really simplify the science, and then I'll get a little bit deeper into it. Basically, what happens when you're in a chronic stress state, it triggers your cortisol, right? I think most people, again, let me know if this is something you already knew or if this is brand new, but cortisol is the stress hormone. It has a purpose, and there's a reason for it, and it can be beneficial for us, right? Like the classic example is back in the day when, our ancestors had to be able to be on high alert to run away from a saber-toothed tiger or whatever. I don't know why saber-toothed tiger is always the one that comes up for me. But anyways, then that cortisol, it did them good because it got them into that fight or flight mode so that they could handle the situation with a heightened state of awareness, with heightened strength, heightened response, heightened awareness. Like all those senses become stronger. And then when that event is done, there's methods for releasing it. Like you've maybe seen animals do this, or babies or children, or even yourself. If you go into a state of shock, this happened to me kind of recently. I got into a state of shock, and then once I was out of it, my whole body just shook. Like I was just shaking, and that helps release the cortisol. Anyways, that's something I can go into in more depth in another episode if you would like. So let me know if that's something you would like to hear more about. Anyhow, that is what it is like to experience acute stress. And that's how it's supposed to be. It's an acute situation, a moment when you experience the stress, and then you let it out, and then you're done with it. So chronic stress is when that cortisol gets triggered, but then it doesn't ever come back down. It just stays there. You just are always with this high cortisol. That's going to increase. Here, I've got a little bit of a list of things that happens when you have chronically elevated cortisol levels. Okay, it's not just inconvenient. It's not just that it makes you tired. This is detrimental to your health for the long term. Okay, so one thing, it increases your appetite. When you have high cortisol, it stimulates your appetite. There's other hormones that it that it affects, like ghrelin and leptin. Again, let me know if this is the kind of thing that you would like to hear more about. I'm going to keep it kind of surface level for today until you can let me know kind of what you're wanting to hear from me, okay? So it's going to stimulate those appetite hormones, particularly for like comfort foods, right? Which is an easy way to overeat and gain weight. So there's that realm in which it makes it harder to lose weight. And then high cortisol also very specifically promotes fat storage in the abdominal area. So if you're holding on to this stubborn fat in your abdominal area, then it's very, very likely that you are chronically stressed. And here's the thing. Fat in the abdominal area it's very highly associated with an increased risk of not only obesity, but other health problems, heart disease, like all the organs. It affects all the organs. That's where your organs live. So if you've got fat in that area, your organs are not going to be able to function properly, which affects all the other systems in your body. Do you see how reducing your stress is going to help so many things in your life? That also impacts your insulin resistance, okay, which makes it more challenging for your body to be able to regulate blood sugar, which also then increases fat storage over time. And another thing, chronic cortisol levels, when they're really high, so chronically high cortisol levels can actually cause your muscle to break down. It actually causes muscle loss, which slows down your metabolism, making it even harder to lose weight and making it easier to gain weight. All right. It also, there's so much more. It impacts your other aspects of your metabolism and increases your appetite for like sweet, fatty, salty foods in particular. It also reduces your testosterone, which, in case you were not aware, both men and women need healthy levels of testosterone. Okay, so if you have low testosterone, then that once again can cause a decrease in muscle mass, which slows down calorie burn. Okay, so that's just the surface level of why high stress is bad for you in a nutshell. Okay, there is no gold star, there's no trophy, there's no reward for staying in high stress. I know that there are many of you listening who have done that. I mean, I've been guilty of it too. We wear our stress like a badge of honor. We're not going to do that anymore. We're done with that because it's not helping you. And to be honest, most people aren't impressed by it anymore anyways. The people who are impressed by, oh man, she's just so busy. Look at her go. She's doing all these things. The people doing that, like, what does it do for you to have their admiration? What does that do to help your health? How does their admiration help you feel good in your body? How does their admiration support your gut health? How does their admiration help you sleep good at night? It doesn't. So stop focusing on their admiration and focus on how much better you're going to feel when you reduce your stress and make your life so much easier. Okay. All right. So maybe I want to know if this is you, okay? Are you that person who you go a little while without working out and then you get that fire lit up underneath you again? So you go to the gym or you start that workout program at home or whatnot. You go out to go on runs more often, or you go to that workout class. You do that for a little while and then you notice that nothing is changing in your weight. Nothing is changing, and so you get discouraged, so you stop. Or you go harder. You go even harder. You think, oh, well, I just need to work out more. I just need to work out more intensely. I need to run further. I need to do more HIIT workouts. Okay. If that's you, I'm going to need you to take a breather. All right? Because intense exercise like HIIT workouts or running a marathon, and I know I'm a half marathon runner. I'm only half crazy. I'm not full crazy. I don't do full marathons. But we'll talk more about that in a bit. Anyways, doing those super intense exercises, those are going to spike your cortisol. They're literally designed to get you, like, they're putting stress on your body. it's on purpose and it can be helpful. But if you're already chronically stressed, if your cortisol is already spiked chronically, then it's just going to make it worse. Okay. Now, listen, there are plenty of studies out there that show that moderate intensity exercise, like a nice brisk walk or doing strength training or yoga, can, I could come up with a lot more examples if you need them, but that's enough to start with. Those kinds of workouts, those are the ones that are going to lower your cortisol, which then in turn is going to improve your metabolic health. It's going to, what were all those things that I just talked about, right? It's going to help your appetite come back into check. It's going to help you actually release the fat that's been gathering around your abdomen. It's going to reduce your insulin resistance. It's going to give you the ability to gain muscle. All those things that are going to improve your health. It might seem so backwards because I know that for the longest time, there was just this idea that, I don't think it helped when all these, fitness wearables like Apple Watches and Fitbits and everything, when they count your calories, that's like your reward is how many calories you burn. So we need to back away from worrying about how many calories we're burning and instead focus on what we can do to handle our cortisol and do things that are going to allow us to actually make progress. Okay? So I'm going to give you just like a quick little example of when I was particularly in a high stress state and had to back off on my workouts because I love intense workouts. I super duper love them. If you listened to the trailer, you know that I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of human design here and there. So if you're not into human design, bear with me for a second. If you are, you'll know what I mean. So in human design, there is an energy center called the root center. And if you have that center defined, generally speaking, it's going to be really helpful for you to do some kind of intense movement every day to help move that stress energy through your body, to get it through and out so it doesn't just get stuck. This is not a rule. It's just a general observation. Okay. So I have a defined root center and it's very true for me that I love getting so sweaty and just like having my muscles burning, having my lungs burning, my heart just pounding. I love that feeling. I love it. And back in 2020, fall of 2020, I had a miscarriage that led to me remembering memories from my childhood of a trauma that I experienced, and going through all of that really put me into this state of stress. And I came to realize, and it got to this point, and I'll talk about some of these symptoms later, but came to a point where I realized that I had to back off because I was doing more harm than good. I knew that I needed to back off so that I could let my cortisol levels come back down into a normal place. And it took a while, you guys. It's not just like take a week off. Like this can take months. It could even take years potentially. Who knows? I think for me, it took probably a year or so before, maybe even longer. I'm trying to think back to the timeline before I felt like I could get back to doing intense workouts again. And I missed it. It was not easy because, again, I like that feeling. It was hard, but it was so good for me. It was so good for me. We have to pay attention to what our bodies need rather than what we think we should do. Okay, so some good ways to move your body without adding stress. And these, keep in mind, these are things that are straight up workouts. And here's something that I always tell my clients. And yes, this is coming from your certified personal trainer. All right. Exercise is not required. Movement is. Your body needs to move, but it doesn't have to be strict exercise. There are 1,000,001 different ways for you to move your body that are going to give your body what it needs. Okay. So these again are actual exercises. So one thing is, again, strength training. And again, it does not need to be super intense. Okay, you don't need to be like getting a hernia because you're lifting so heavy. No. Unnecessary. All we're doing is building up some muscle. And ladies, I hope that this is a myth that has been long put to rest. But tell me, I want to know if this is something that you've been concerned about. You're not going to get bulky. You're not going to look like a dude by lifting weights. I promise you this. You can only get looking like that if you are very specifically trying to make that happen and taking very specific supplements and doing a very specific workout protocol. So don't worry about that, okay? You do want to strength train, I say 2 to 3 times a week, and just enough to, put yourself in like a zone 2, zone 3 heart rate zone, which that's something that I can talk more about. I'm going to be talking about that soon. I can't remember how soon I'll be doing an episode on that, but it will be soon, about how to know when you're in zone 2. Okay. So that's going to be really good because it's going to help you. First of all, strength training, it's been scientifically proven that strength training reduces anxiety, and of course it boosts metabolism without the cortisol spike because you're building muscle. You're not spiking your heart rate, okay? All right, another one is it's become known as steady state cardio or zone 2 cardio. So not running, okay? These are more low key things like a power walk. There was a whole trend going around on TikTok forever ago. I can't remember what it was called, the 12-3-30, I think, where ladies would walk at a 12 incline at 3 speed for 30 minutes. I will say that can get pretty intense. A 12 incline is intense. So don't feel like you need to go that intense, especially not right away. But just walking, even just on a flat road, flat treadmill, just on the road, whatever, for half an hour. Just a nice brisk walk. Enjoyable. Don't kill yourself. That's the whole point, okay? So a nice power walk, swimming, cycling, those are and like even yoga, you could do like a slightly more intense yoga. Yoga has so many different options. There's yoga that's for strength building. There's yoga that's going to be a little bit more like, yes, that steady state cardio. And there's going to be recovery yoga, which I'm going to get to recovery in just a second. But when it comes to this steady state cardio, you're wanting to keep your heart in this place where it's working a little bit more than it is when you're just resting, but not so much that you're gasping for air and having to take a break. It's called steady state because it's something that you can sustain easily while having a conversation for, half hour. Okay. And again, that's something that you could do on the daily, but I would say at least 3 times a week. And then you want to do your active recovery. So this is a daily thing that you can do, something where you're moving your body daily. Okay. So again, recovery yoga. There's intense yoga and there's recovery yoga. Okay. You can just do some simple stretching, just moving your muscles, letting them move on purpose. Okay. Or you can find like 10-minute mobility routines on YouTube or whatnot. I will say I like to use Peloton and Beachbody workouts. I love streaming those workouts when I don't feel like using my brain to come up with a workout. I go back and forth. Sometimes I make my own workouts. Sometimes I let somebody else lead me, and it's great. So those are just a few ideas for moving your body. And again, it doesn't have to be in the gym. It doesn't have to even be using weights if you're doing the strength training. I still remember back in the day, I would follow I think it was a Cindy Crawford workout VHS that my mom had. There were a couple of workout VHSs that she had, and I loved doing them. And I would usually use like soup cans, or soup cans is the main thing that I think of. I think sometimes I would use like a jug of milk. I don't know. We thought it was the funnest thing ever. So you can use those kinds of things, or you can literally like lift your child up and down. Use your children in your workouts. There's so many ways that you can get creative with your movement. And again, involve your family. Go on these walks with your family. Okay, show your kids how to stretch their muscles too. This can be a whole fun thing, all right? And more than anything, listen to your body. If you feel absolutely exhausted, do recovery. Swap your strength training day for some yin yoga. Okay? Because that's also going to be good for your nervous system. And when your nervous system is soothed, then that gets you out of fight or flight, which allows your cortisol to come down. I hope all of these words are making sense for you. Please let me know if any of this is going over your head. All right? I mean it. Reach out to me. Again, for my people who understand human design, I have a 2-4 profile, which means that I love talking to the people. I love my people. So don't ever feel like you're going to be a bother, because I love when people reach out to me and tell me what they're thinking of this whole having my voice in your head. Okay, so those are some suggestions to get started with. All right. And little side note, for my personal one-on-one clients, because yes, you can hire me. You can hire me to help you with all of this. I create custom workouts and we adjust as often as needed. So it's not like I just create this copy and paste workout program for you and expect you to stick with it for 3 months. No, I make a workout program, and then sometimes you'll stick with it for a month, and then we need to make some adjustments. Sometimes you just get a few days in and we already need to make some adjustments to make it feel better in your body. Okay, so if you would like a little extra help with that, I'll put a link in the show notes to book a consult with me, and we can just chat about where you are and what we can do to help you get your stress levels down and into a place where moving feels good again. All right, so on that note, a little mindset shift, and I'll do a whole episode on this at some point as well, I'm sure. But I need you to understand that exercise is not a punishment. We don't exercise because we had a piece of cake last night. No, if you had cake last night, I hope you enjoyed the heck out of it. And that you're moving your body today because you understand that movement is a reward for life. We are living and we get to move our bodies. These bodies are so freaking cool. Like, do you understand how insane the human body is? All the processes and systems that function inside of us that allow us to breathe or blink or bend your arm or turn your head or think. All of that is because you are allowed to, you can move your body. Movement is literally the reward. And the results that you get from moving your body, the results that you get from when you take care of it, that's just the cherry on top. The energy, the strength, the stamina, that's all the cherry on top. Getting to move your body is the reward. All right, so a few things that you can keep in mind as far as recognizing if you're in chronic stress or recognizing if your workouts are exacerbating the problem rather than helping. If you do a workout and you feel if this is becoming a pattern, if it's just a one-time thing, it's not usually an issue. But if this is becoming a pattern for every time you work out, that you just feel completely wiped, just absolutely beat, and like you have to go take a nap and you're down for the count for the rest of the day, then you need to back off on the intensity. That is a really big sign that you need to get back into recovery mode and not get into the intense workouts again until you feel like that's under control. That was one of the big key signs for me, was that I was doing the workouts that I had been doing for years, the same level of intensity that I had been doing for years and loving, but suddenly I could not bounce back. Suddenly I was not getting the energy that I used to. Because it used to be, I'd be tired after my workout, but then I'd do my cool down, I'd stretch, I'd refuel, and then the rest of the day would be fantastic. But then I got to the point where I would do my workout and I was absolutely wiped and could hardly function for the whole rest of the day. That was a big sign to me that I needed to back off. Another thing is if you are absolutely dreading your workouts every single day, but you're doing them anyways because, you quote unquote should. Here's one of my favorite sayings. In fact, I have this available as a mug on Etsy if you want it. Stop shoulding on yourself. If you hear yourself telling yourself that you need to do something because you should, we don't follow the shoulds around here, okay? And again, I will probably do a whole episode on that at some point. Okay, another big, huge key sign is if you're struggling to sleep at night, even though you're completely physically and mentally exhausted. When your cortisol is chronically high, it puts you in this fight or flight even when you need to be sleeping because it makes your body think that you need to be on high alert because you're in danger. That's what cortisol does. It makes your body believe that you're in danger. And so it's on high alert. It's super hyper aware, which can also cause lots of anxiety. So anxiety is also a big sign that you're chronically stressed. So if you're really struggling to sleep because you're in this fight or flight hyper awareness state of being, then that's a big sign that you need to back off and let yourself recover. Okay. All right, so a few quick stress reduction strategies that you can absolutely play with. Breathing, breath work. There's so many different versions of breath work, so many different approaches, and they're all amazing and lovely and wonderful. And sometimes having all those options can be really overwhelming. So there's two that I like to use the most personally. So these are the two I'm going to recommend for you. You can, of course, go out and look up all the different strategies if you would like to have more options. But the two that I use, there's box breathing, which is a 4-4 count. So you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And then just repeat that. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, all for 4 counts. Okay. You could pair that with your cool down. Do the box breathing with your cool down after your workout. That's going to help bring your cortisol back down post workout. Okay. You can also do alternate nostril breathing. That's one of my absolute favorites. So you just take one finger and you inhale while covering one nostril. You inhale. And then you cover the other nostril as you exhale. And then you inhale and then cover the other nostril and exhale. So that you go in one, out one, and then in through that same one, and then out through the other one. So let me know if that makes sense or if you need a visual. All right. And then to reduce stress, of course, you need to sleep. So if you're not sleeping well, start by having some kind of wind down routine that does not involve your phone. Okay. We need to get back off from screens, even if it's only for like 5 minutes, last 5 minutes right before you go to sleep. Start with that if you need to, and then move it to 10, and then maybe 30, and then a whole hour, okay? But just start with 5 minutes of doing some gentle stretching without any screens in front of your face, okay? There's, of course, this is a screen, but there are YouTubes that you could find for like bedtime yoga. And if you're good at following cues, a lot of time you don't even need to watch the video. You can just have it in your ear, okay? And I'm going to be doing a whole other episode, or maybe even a series. It might be a whole series on sleep and how to get better at it, because it can be a skill. You can get better at it. And then there's nutrition. Nutrition is also a great way to reduce your stress. And now listen, I am not a registered dietitian yet. That is actually like my 5-year plan, but that's a whole other thing. Anyways, I have learned a crap ton about nutrition for over a decade now. So I will be talking about the things that I have learned. I just need you to remember that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. And this is all just the things that I have learned. This is just from the research of Megan. So we'll talk more in depth about all of these things in future episodes as well. But just a few like quick tips is to, first of all, never have caffeine on an empty stomach, ever. Please stop doing that immediately. If you are a girly who also likes to wake up, get your pre-workout and go, something that my husband and I have started doing lately is putting a scoop of our vanilla protein in with our pre-workouts, and it is actually super delicious. And then you get that protein in there to keep the caffeine from wreaking havoc on your cortisol, because caffeine on an empty stomach, not only does it like spike your cortisol like crazy, but it wreaks havoc on other hormones and other processes in your body. So just trust me, don't start your day with caffeine on an empty stomach. You're also going to probably want to play with not starting or ending your day off with pure carbs. Let carbs be like in the more middle part of your day. All right. So focus on starting and ending your day with more proteins, fibers, and healthier fats. Okay. That's going to help stabilize your blood sugar and reduce that stress response. Okay. All right. That was a lot, and that was so much fun for me. I have missed this. I'm so excited to be back here. Pocket PT it's a whole new project that I'm so excited to be having available for you now. Lots more good things to come. And so just a quick little recap. I want you to remember that reducing your stress does not mean quitting exercise. So once again, if you're someone who love hitting up the gym, you love your daily run, you love doing you love doing all that stuff, it doesn't mean you need to stop. It just means that you need to move smarter, not harder. And I would love to encourage you to swap even just one of your high intensity workouts this week for a lower key strength session or a nice long walk. Okay, so consider that, because the thing is, your workouts should make you feel good. They should give you energy in the long run, not break you down. All right, so play with that. I would love to hear how all of this landed for you. So please reach out to me on social media. Instagram is where I hang out the most, or you can always email me. Those are the two best places to reach me. So reach out. Let me know what your aha moments were. Let me know what was new information for you. Let me know what you already knew. And I'm so excited to bring you more. And I also want to invite you to download your free weight loss blueprint. I, once again, will put a link in the show notes, and that's going to really support you in this process of reducing your stress so that you can lose weight, so that you can feel better in your body and do all those fun things with your family that you've always dreamed of doing. Okay. And that also happens to pair really well with the weight loss kickstart. So if you haven't already done the weight loss kickstart with me, it's only $15 for the time being. And people have had really good success. I think the average right now, the average weight loss is 5 or 6 pounds in 31 days. The most I have seen so far, I believe, is 10 pounds, a 10-pound weight loss in 31 days. And this is from people who have been stuck, right? So if you're someone who you feel like you've plateaued, this weight loss kickstart is going to give you exactly what you need to get that going again. And it's because of the stress reduction. It puts you through my 31-day stress detox protocol so that you can actually start to lose that weight in a way that feels good, where you're not absolutely kicking yourself. Okay, so go enjoy that. Thank you again so much for being here for this first episode of the Pocket PT podcast. There is so much more good stuff to come, so make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks for showing up for today's session. I know I love our time here together. If you do too, I accept payment primarily in the form of 5-star reviews along with shares on social media. If you're ready to go deeper with me, you can get started with the Weight Loss Kickstart for only $15, or you can go all in on the Weight Loss Accelerator, aka 12 weeks of private coaching. Links for both can be found in the show description, and I will see you back here in our virtual gym for our session next week.